I think it would be interesting also when as more and more people, more and more businesses get onto accounting softwares, is the forecasting and that sort of aspect with it, because obviously it's very easy to look your past data on there. But actually with Xero and things, the forecasting still isn't great on those. So it's still quite a manual aspect to forecasting. Yeah. And I suppose because actually forecasting in a software can only be produced based on what's happened.
Yes.
Other than, real information. So how do people actually start doing the forecasting, which is really important, using the software? I suppose that's where these apps are coming in quite useful. Have you used any of those?
I haven't, no, but I know some businesses that have used apps here and there to help.
And they sort of integrate, don't they, with the software to do it?
Or you plug in the data and it goes, well, based on this is what should be happening.
And then I suppose you've then got to put your real-time information into it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, actually, in 4 months' time, I know we're going to invest in new computers for everyone or whatever it may be.
I definitely think it could help with things like the budgeting process because it's really interesting watching how different organisations go about the annual budget. There are some that it is just the finance department working in isolation, almost calling the shots. And it is a little bit like, oh, we're just going to grow by 5%. So everything just increases by 5%. And you're like, okay. And there's like no seasonality of the revenue line. So they're going to do 12 exact periods. And it's like, are you going to do this? And they're like, oh, no. It's like, so why are we changing this? And they're like,
have a good few months at this point of the year.
Well, we never hit budget anyway, so what's the point? I was like, so why are you doing this? Oh, because so-and-so wants one. Okay. And I read
completely pointless exercise.
I read this really funny thing online the other day, which was people spend 3 months building a budget and 9 months explaining why it was wrong.
That's so true.
And I read that and I was like, yeah, that's absolutely fair.
Because I think people don't sort of learn by it. They don't evolve at all with it.
But I've got this one client and I absolutely love them. So what they did, they literally went to each department and said, right, apart from, utilities and all those things, tell us what it is that you want to spend money on, and you give us what you think your spending is going to be next year. And it's your responsibility to think of everything that you may or may not need. And so there, after a lot of, to-ing and fro-ing and backing and forthing, this information came back. It all got put into the budget. And interestingly, the overheads went down.
Okay.
So the finance department went, brilliant, love this. We're going with this. We're going to make more profit just by not spending as much. Yeah. And then we get about 7 months in and departments have run out of budget.
Oh.
So the accounts department's like, you're going to have to wait 5 months. You've got no money. And they're like, well, we didn't know that it actually meant something.
Oh, that's hilarious.
I was just like, so what are you doing? They're like, no, they can't spend any more money.
Oh, really?
Well, they've got to think about it for next year now. It's just like, oh my goodness.
That's a brutal way of doing it.
Ruthless.
Yeah,
it's like, it's, and I said, I just have to ask, it's not, it's not hurting the business in terms of its growth and profitability, and we're not stunting growth just through theoretical, point scoring. Yeah. And they said, oh, not that we can see. And I was like, okay, fine.
Fair enough.
that's new. But I think, budgeting is, I think it's really important, but I think it's really difficult.
Really difficult. There's so many variables with it, aren't there, I think? Just so many variables.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, there isn't a perfect way to budget.
No.
And I definitely think beforehand it was always a bit of guesswork. But I think at the moment, especially with so much uncertainty and so many external factors, which now feels more prevalent than it's ever felt before, it makes everything anything could happen.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Especially with the government at the moment, with do we get more taxes? Are we having less taxes? Is it good for business? Is it bad for business?
So much change, isn't there?
Employee rights. Where is all of this going? I think people are just like, do you know what? Stuff it. We'll just see what happens.
Yeah, exactly that.
Yeah. So do you have any last words of wisdom on budgeting?
On budgeting, I think probably, if anything, given the economic climate of where we are at the moment, you've got to be a little prudent at the moment. Yeah. You've got to be a little bit cautious because, as you say, with uncertainty often comes some sort of negative changes. So if you're not sure which way to go, I would go a little bit more cautious at the moment.
And for people that do have some cash in the bank, where should they be investing? in their businesses?
That's a good question, but I think normally the best investment is going to be in something that's going to produce more revenue. So whether it's better equipment, you know, if you're got quite old equipment and it's taking longer, so you've got quite a lot of labour with that, then automating more, potentially investing in the equipment, in machinery, might reduce labour too. So, but then it could be the other scale. It could be, okay, advertising. Do people know where you are? Do they know you're there? Do you have any kind of awareness of things? So two different sort of spectrums there, I suppose.
Yeah.
Both equally important in different ways.
Yeah, I also think training and development is also key at these times, especially when there's uncertainty. I think that makes employees feel like they've got security if they're being invested in. And I also think if it's a bit quiet at the moment and you've got some time in your business, this is the best time to reinvest in the people so that when things do change, they're ready to go and they're more prepared.
Your employees are as best as they can sort of possibly be, I suppose.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So that's it. That's the evolution of accounts people. You need to find commercially based people that love numbers, like, you know,
We're here.
we're here.